welcome back to Tiny Artist TV. Today is the first video for 2022, and just to kind of ease off of my winter break, I'm just going to do something fun and light, some Pokemon Gijinkas. So, you see the Pokemon here? Let's go ahead and get started. Not unlike my Eevee Girls video, I'm going to be doing some more magical girl type costuming. Typically when I do Pokemon Gijinkas, I just try to make their clothing look like the Pokemon themselves, but I thought it would be fun to kind of do some sort of like winter fashion inspired magical girl mashup type costuming this time around, just because I really enjoyed the results from the last time I did a Magical Girls Gijinka video. I don't think this is going to become a regular occurrence, but it's something I enjoy doing, so here we are. So first up we have Weevil, who is the evolved version of Sneasel, and even though Sneasel was introduced in Gen 2, Weevil did not come around until Gen 4. Weevil is number 461 in the Pokemon lineup, and is a dark and ice type. So even though the rest of my costumes lean more heavily into the ice or water type elements, I did lean more into the dark elements of Weevil. It's just the color palette and the overall energy from this particular Pokemon just felt more dark leaning than ice leaning, so I was actually surprised when I got this one, but they are a combination type and ice is one of their sets. But as you can see, she kind of ends up looking like a Sailor Moon villain, just a lot of the sharp angles and the jewelry typing. I did have fun designing this character because typically my Pokemon Gijinkas are very like cute and fun, so getting a Pokemon that's a little more mischievous was definitely interesting to design for. And even Weevil's moveset is more sort of taunt leaning or dark leaning than specifically ice leaning. They do have a few ice moves such as Ice Shard and Ice Wind, but most of them are like scratch slash leer, like things that are just kind of vexatious, just bothersome. They have a move called Nasty Plot, so yeah, making this more of a dark leaning villain type Gijinka was definitely fitting. According to their Pokedex entries, which I won't go through all of them because they do have Pokedex entries starting in Diamond and Pearl, and then all of the reboots of the previous games such as Omega Sapphire and Alpha Ruby. They do live in cold regions, forming groups of 4 or 5, and hunt prey with impressive coordination. It sends signals to others by carving odd patterns in frost-covered trees and ice. According to Weevil's Pokedex entry in Pokemon Shield, there are up to or possibly over 500 distinct signs that these Weevil leave in these carvings. Oh wow! So according to Pokemon Moon, the Pokemon's main food source in Alola are Vulpix and Sandshrew, which they carefully divide among the group. Ooh. The species corners prey as a pack under the guidance of a leader. One Weevil will trip a Sandshrew and flip it over, and the other will deal the finishing blow with its sharp claws. Wow. So I don't know if you guys know anything about like dark Pokedex entries. This one would definitely go in that category. There's some dark and creepy ones in there, especially when you get into ghost type Pokemon, but yeah, Weevil being a dark Pokemon, this tracks. So this brings us to the end of the first design, Weevil, and here is the finished version without any extra stuff going on around it. So now we'll move on to our second Pokemon, which is Cloister. I had a really hard time trying to solidify a design for this particular Pokemon, as you can see by the several designs that I'm doing before we actually get into the final design. I was trying so hard to make that cowl sweater thing work that I was kind of getting more away from the Pokemon as a whole. And then I thought, okay, Magical Girl Cloister is a shell type Pokemon, so I kept trying to think like, okay, a hood so that half of her face is hidden or something and this and such. And then it just kind of dawned on me, duh, shield magic. So even though this ninja type design is pretty cool, I do keep the knives in the final design. I try to go for something more dynamic with this pose, again, still kind of keeping that like ninja type. I don't know what I was going with this, but I keep the knives, I keep the hair, and then I implement Cloister's form as her Magical Girl shield, and the design just flowed from there. So Cloister holds a special place in my heart, being one of the original 151 lineup. Considering that I grew up with this Pokemon, anything from Gen 1 through 3 is going to hold a special place in my heart, because that's just, it's kind of like claiming a doctor from Doctor Who. Whatever gen you started with, that's going to be the most special Pokemon set to you. So Cloister is somewhere further down the line. He's number 91 and is seated pretty closely next to my actual like favorite set of Pokemon, which are the Ghostly Trio. He comes right before Ghastly and Haunter and Gengar. But Cloister is a ice and water type combination. So I had mentioned that even though these are all ice type, this one I did focus a little more on the water element. I give her water magic to control the knives, but as an ice theme. Again, this is kind of winter fashion Magical Girl, so I did still incorporate the sweater, sort of. It's stylistically a little bit different, but it's something that will keep her warm when she's out there throwing her water knives out in the middle of, I don't know, icy northern waters or something. So Cloister, according to Bulbapedia, is a pretty tough cookie. So I was right in going with shield magic, but it's a shell Pokemon, so I mean, of course. On its pearl-like face, it has 2 white eyes and a mouth, as you can see. Aside from its face and head, its internal anatomy has never been seen. Once it has shut itself in, it is impossible to open its shell from the outside. This impressive defense allows it to withstand anything from a bomb blast to even a missile strike. I would like to see that tested in an actual Pokemon episode, but I guess for now we'll have to deal with Voltorb exploding. According to the Pokemon Yellow Pokedex entry, the reason for this strong defense is that, allegedly, its shell is harder than diamonds. It is interesting how many of these Pokedex entries, I mean, of course, not only continue to harp on the strength of Cloister's defensive mechanism with how hard the shell is, but how its insides have never been seen, which we know Pokemon die, hence ghost Pokemon. We also know Pokemon are consumed, and as a bivalve Pokemon, you would think, you know, seafaring people of the Pokemon world would, you know, perhaps consider Cloister a delicacy. And if Pokemon die, and if Pokemon are consumed, is Cloister just inedible? Not getting into the ethics of eating Pokemon. I would imagine some are tastier than others. Cloister seems like he would have some very, like, salty, grainy meat energy going on. But, yeah, that's interesting. So we're at the end of this Pokemon design. This one, again, once I had the design down packed, went pretty quickly. I'm just messing around with the magic here. And, yeah. This one was actually, out of this batch, absolutely my favorite. I love how her facial expression turned out. That just solidified it for me. So yeah, that's Cloister, and now we're going to be moving on to Glacion. Miss Pris herself. As you can probably tell by that little intonation, I'm not a huge fan of Glacion, or Leafeon for that matter of fact. I just felt like their evolution designs were weaker. I do feel like Sylveon kind of was a return to form as far as making evolutions interesting again, but yeah, so fortunately, when I was looking at winter fashion inspiration for my magical girl designs, I was able to find this sick denim jacket to kind of up Glaceon's it girl factor, because, I mean, as an evolution, they are pretty popular. I just don't care for her that much. Like, I've already done all of my favorites. If you want to check, I have a link in the description for my first Evolutions Magical Girl video where I do include all of my favorites. Of course, they're all from Gen 1 and 3, but whatever. So, Glacion is from Gen 5, I believe. Let me double check that real quick. Oh, actually, they're from Gen 4, so Leafeon and Glaceon are both from Gen 4. Glaceon is number 471 and comes immediately after Leafeon in the Pokemon lineup. Some Pokefacts about Glaceon. They're actually, this is interesting, most Pokemon I've been doing are apparently 50-50. Glaceon is typically 87% male, 12% female, which, as I look further into it, apparently, even starting with Eevee, all of the evolutions have this male to female ratio of having a better chance of you catching a male than a female version of the Pokemon. According to its Pokedex entry in Diamond and Pearl, as a protective technique, it can completely freeze its fur to make its hair stand like needles. By controlling its body temperature, the moisture in the air freezes, producing ice crystals surrounding it. It can drop its body temperature below 75 degrees Fahrenheit. And for those captivated by Glaceon's beautiful snowfall will be instantly frozen without realizing it. Glaceon is rather popular at ski resorts due to its ability to create powdery snow. Glaceon is usually found in urban areas under the care of humans. It is rarely found in the wild. I hope Glaceon's at least getting some compensation for all that labor. As far as the actual design, Glaceon and the next Pokemon, which, if you remember the lineup from the beginning, is Articuno, are the only two that are explicitly ice in this set. So designing the costumes for these two leaned more heavily into that ice factor. I based her costume on kind of my feelings towards Glaceon, is that Glaceon's design just kind of has this, I don't know what it is, it's very like kind of snooty, kind of posture. Try saying that 5 times fast, I could hardly say it once. But just this very aristocratic almost feeling, so I decided to make her this very prim and proper wizard student of ice magic, of course, and she's holding an advanced ice techniques textbook, and she's just kind of going through it and just going about her day and flipping her hair. It's kind of bored about everything that's going on around her. All of the colors are color picked from Glaceon, very limited color palette, so I did kind of play around with some of the more grayish denim-y colors that were coming from the jacket that I was inspired by, as well as Glaceon's color palette. But for the most part, this design was just very kind of straightforward, very prim, proper, noble, a little more, less traditional magical girl and more just a girl who can do magic, if you want to put it that way. I do like her costume. I think as far as the actual like complexity and overall design, I'm going to give this one a second place because my favorite costume is still Weevil. I just really like the way that one, I was able to execute that one. Of course, overall character, I already mentioned that Cloister ended up being my favorite, just that facial expression. I don't usually do super cartoony facial expressions, but that one just made it like super precious to me. So as far as again overall design and complexity, of course Glaceon is going to take second place in this roundup in my personal opinion, but let me know what you think down in the comments. Who was your favorite? What would you have done differently maybe? So that brings us to the end of Miss Glacion. And we're gonna move on to Articuno, who I felt after we had a sneaky Pokemon, we had a mean Pokemon, we had a prim and proper Pokemon. I felt like we could use Articuno to be a palate cleanser. Now, Articuno as a legendary type, I had initially thought of kind of going in a similar direction with Glacion, whereas this is a more, not necessarily a prim and proper, but a more of like a teacher that you like really respect and look up to, because with Articuno being a legendary Pokemon, holds some status. Granted, this is the first of technically 5 in the original 151 legendaries, and so for the OG, like, yeah, until like Arceus and all of the others came along, like Articuno, Moltres, and Zapdos, and then of course Mew and Mewtwo were like the big cheese. But I wanted to kind of break up this kind of like dark and like, I wanted to go back to the original like cute Gijinka designs that I was doing for most of my designs, and so I was kind of inspired by, well, not kind of, I was basically just put this outfit that you see in the top corner here onto Articuno, and I decided to kind of make her a like magical PI. Like, she's I don't know, there was this old manga, and I guess, oh gosh, yeah, it's old, it came out in the early 2000s, called Zodiac PI. And she was a private investigator who was also a psychic, and she would find clues based on like people's zodiac tarot readings or whatever. So kind of evoking that like early 2000s campy, fun investigator feeling. And she uses her ice magic to solve cases, and she's just kind of like fun and smart and cute, and I just wanted a palette cleanser after the first 3 designs, so this is what I came up with. Articuno is of course an ice, but is also a flying type Pokemon, and apparently their Galarian evolution, which is from Sword and Shield, is a psychic and flying type Pokemon. So I don't know if they lose their ice type completely. It looks like it, especially with their color typing psychic Pokemon typically being purple or something in that sort. The Galarian Articuno is actually purple, which is really pretty, but we're focusing on the original, which is ice and flying type. He's number 144, and I say he, but as apparently a gender neutral Pokemon, so they are number 144. Articuno has the power to control ice at will. When Articuno flaps its wings, it can chill the moisture in the air around it, making snowfall. It's pretty similar to quite a few ice Pokemon. It flies from icy mountain to icy mountains, and according to legends, it appears before doomed travelers lost in icy regions. Articuno sometimes aids travelers and guides them to safety, and lives in cold, isolated locations filled with permafrost. So perhaps instead of being a private investigator character, maybe she's more of a park ranger type character. The outfit still feels very functional and fashionable. But as far as like a magical girl, I guess the only thing that's quote unquote magical about her is her sparkly tutu, and just her overall like go get 'em type facial expression here. So yeah, this is the end of Articuno, and this brings us to the end of today's Ice Gijinka Pokemon video. I hope you guys enjoyed this one, and tell me which one was your favorite. Again, let me know what you would have done differently, how you would have styled these Pokemon, if you loved it, if you hated it. Go check out my other Pokemon Gijinka videos as well if you enjoy this type of content, because I will continue to make it, not on a regular basis, but it's something I like doing, so I will keep doing it. But until next time, I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a weird day.